Today, we'll be talking about the upfront contract and how you can utilize it to amp up your college recruiting presence. Guys, the upfront contract is something that is so overlooked and so underutilized in the recruiting process that I'm really excited to introduce you to, if you don't know already, or brush up your knowledge on how to communicate more effectively with college coaches and how to set next steps and make sure there's that second meeting and you're not just interacting with a coach one time. Now, what is an upfront contract? Let's get right to it. An upfront contract is a verbal or sometimes written agreement between the coach and a player. The upfront contract has 5 elements. All 5 of these elements you will be using. All 5 of these elements are an integral part of the upfront contract and, thus being a very important part of your recruiting process. So listen up, guys. The upfront contract has 5 of these elements. The first, purpose. You must have a purpose for the meeting that you're having with a coach. That meeting could be an unofficial visit, could be a meeting off campus at a golf tournament, could be a phone call or even an email to a coach, at times now even text messages. You must have a purpose for that meeting. Explain, as a player, I think it's important for you to explain why you're having that meeting and making sure that you're moving that relationship and that communication process forward. Now, second part, an element of the upfront contract is the coach's agenda and his expectations. Now, this is first for a reason before the player's agenda, which would be the third element of the upfront contract. The coach's agenda is more important to us because we're kind of gauging and determining what he wants to talk about in this element of the upfront contract. We want to find out what his agenda is for the meeting, find out what his agenda is for before, during, and after the meeting, and understand his perception of what will happen after that meeting and in the transition to hopefully another meeting. We also use this second step to clarify the coach's perception concerning those next steps. So we want to keep all the mutual mystification and all the times where you don't know exactly what's going to happen next out of this. This is the purpose of the upfront contract. So, guys and gals, this is going to happen within the first 30 seconds to 2 minutes of a phone call, an unofficial visit, or that handshake with a college coach. Making sure you're comfortable with this upfront contract is going to give you so much more confidence in yourself and so much more leeway in the recruiting process with the coach. Not to mention how much more the coach will respect you and what you're doing during the meetings. Third will be your agenda and your expectations. Explain to the coach why you're there. Give him a brief synopsis of what kind of questions you'll be asking, what kind of topics you'll be talking about. And make sure you're not accepting any wishy-washy responses from the coach when you're asking those questions. If you're asking a coach question about, say, workouts, make sure you get, what kind of stuff you're doing during the workout, what kind of stuff they're doing, in maintenance coming up to the tournament, and what time they're working out. So that's one example. Another could be, figuring out what majors are offered at the school or the social atmosphere and the school culture. That's all really important stuff. And as a prospect or a recruit, you need the details in order to determine between school A and school B. You need those details. That's super important and super vital in the recruiting process. The fourth element of the upfront contract is time. Time is very important. Time needs to be acknowledged by the recruit, by the player up front. If you weren't already watching this video, for example, you probably would have already snoozed out by now. but luckily YouTube has a counter on the bottom, and you knew that this video was going to be 5, 6, or 7 minutes. So with a coach, do the same thing. Allow him to tell you his expectations in the second step. Allow you to explain to him your expectations in the third step, and then figure out how much time that's going to take. There could be anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes to an hour and a half. Make sure you're acknowledging that up front and figuring out how much time that's going to take. And I promise you, guys and gals, you start to do that and the coaches will respect you and your time much more in the recruiting process. And that's saying a lot. So what we're really doing here is we're taking control of the meeting. We're taking control of the factors that used to be question marks, like time and what was going to be talked about. So the biggest question mark that we're going to cover is the outcome. That's the fifth and final element of today's upfront contract. And the outcome is by far the most important element of the upfront contract because it sets the tone for the future of the relationship. It sets the pace for that meeting today. It's everything. The outcome should be the decision to proceed with that recruiting process or stop it immediately. So, and this is within the first 2 minutes of the meeting. So it would go like this. It would sound something similar to this. Coach, and once we're done with the meeting today, once we finish walking around campus, say for an unofficial visit, I would love to talk about how we're going to continue this relationship and move forward, and if I would potentially be a good fit for the class of 2017 at so-and-so university. And that's it. So guys, with that is your upfront contract. The outcome being the fifth and final step. Hope everyone learned something. I really, really suggest you use this. You practice it with friends, family, fellow golf team members, and guys and gals going through the process like you. I promise you, you will see greater success in the recruiting process using it, and I wish you the best of luck in doing so. Bye-bye.